Welcome, everyone, to our Fulldome Forum's panel on interactive full dome exploration. I'm Ed Lance, board chair and co-founder of DomeFest West. And we're really excited to have a panel full of rock stars here who are going to talk about their work in interactive in domes. This can apply to digital planetariums, giant screen cinemas, themed entertainment, and lots of other areas. So we also have our film festival submissions coming up next week, I believe Tuesday, to talk a little more about that and introduce our panelists. I'd like to introduce Ryan Moore, Executive Director of DomeFest West. Take it away, Ryan.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ed, and good morning to everyone that has taken the time to join us here during this forum. We are so excited to be approaching this topic of interactivity. It's something that seems very basic, that most planetariums came from someone presenting in an interactive way. But as the moniker says, times are a-changing. There are new films that are coming along and institutions maybe having their direct instructor-led or interactive type programming put to the wayside. So today we're excited to talk about tools and technologies that are really making full dome and planetarian interactivity step up a notch. They're bringing new value. They're unlocking new and really, really innovative ways to get our audiences that all come to the different venues that we run to really sink in and be a part of the presentation that's happening. We've got a bunch of attendees. I would love to name drop all of you, but those that I'm waving to right now, you know that I'm waving to you, and so it's good to see you. Past that, it would take way too long to name drop everyone. We're going to have our first presenter. Many of you know her. She is an absolute rock star in the entire industry. We have Karrie Berglund joining us. Karrie, why don't you go ahead and turn your camera on? Karrie is the co-founder and director of education at Digitalis and a passionate advocate for live interactive planetarium experiences. She's spent years at the Seattle's Pacific Science Center running outreach and managing the Willard Smith Planetarium, sorry, where she saw firsthand the power of two-way engagement. So in 2011, she founded the LIPS Symposium, Live Interactive Planetarium Symposium, which is a nonprofit and in which she serves as its board president. Karrie, take it away. Share with us what you're doing and some of the amazing findings you've had in your work.
Right. Well, thank you, Ryan. I'm going to send a request to share my screen. And then I'll pull up my slides. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see a lot of names that I recognize and talk to some folks I maybe haven't seen before. So that's fantastic. I want to thank Ryan and Ed for inviting me to be on this panel. It's a really important topic and one that is indeed near and dear to my heart. Ryan, I think you're sharing right now. If I could share my slides.
Let me go ahead and kick off, and there you go.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you're all seeing my slides now.
Looking good, Karrie. Thank you.
Excellent. So I'm going to be mainly wearing my LIPS board president hat during this chat, but as I'll mention later, it's really kind of impossible for me to separate LIPS from Digitalis, and I'll share my reasoning about that later. A little bit about me. Ryan told you a little bit about me already, but who am I? I have a really unusual background. My degree is actually in French. But I spent many years in the informal science education world, as Ryan said, at Seattle's Pacific Science Center. I traveled in those big vans. I put an image of the Space Odyssey van there at the bottom. Traveled around Washington State doing science outreach to elementary and middle schools. I did that for about 6.5 years. let me tell you that outreach is not for the faint of heart. So if anybody ever wants to talk outreach and all the things that can go wrong when you show up for an outreach program, just, I'm happy to share horror stories with anyone who wants to discuss those. Great fun. It's fun to be a rock star when you're at the school, but it can be very stressful. So that said, I did also oversee the Willard Smith Planetarium for about a year before leaving to start Digitalis. And that image is actually of the Willard Smith Planetarium. It's kind of, I didn't realize before I became a planetarium vendor how unusual the Willard Smith was, in that it has concentric bench seating, and it also has those cool over-the-shoulder lights that made it possible for people to do things like look at star maps and find constellations in the sky, or answer questions on a worksheet. I saw Alan Gould's name on the list, and I know that he has solved that problem in other ways. But I have yet to see another dome that has those over-the-shoulder lights, unless they've been installed at the new Lawrence Hall of Science Planetarium. Every planetarium program in the Willard Smith was live and interactive. And so that is the background that I came to Digitalis with. But I always like to find out, what are people thinking about that word interactive? Because I know what it means to me, but I want to hear what it means to you. So please, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to just type in your answers in the chat.
Yes, we invite everyone, go ahead and jump into that chat and share your thoughts.
Yeah, I see some coming in. Nice. These are great answers. All right. I know you can all see them too, but I'm seeing a lot of audience participation, audience agency, which means that they have some control over the direction of the program, responsive to the space, asking questions and getting answers, moving around if possible. Let's see, to have an experience that responds to your input and pushes you to reactions. So that is, again, letting the audience direct you where to go. So you're responding to what they're saying or they're doing. Let's see. Did I miss anything? When the audience is driving, I think I got the biggies. Cool. And so you hit my definition. Just minimize that. My big goal when I do an interactive program is for the audience to have a direct impact on the direction of the program. And that means that while I might go in and I know I'm going to be talking about the planet Jupiter, maybe I want to spend some time talking about the Galilean moons of Jupiter, but the audience may not be too interested in that. So they may want to hear about the Juno mission instead. So I can customize that program based on what they're actually interested in. A lot of people mentioned audience participation. So the audience is involved verbally or with motion. For example, maybe tracking the path of the sun across the sky as time goes by. That's an example of nonverbal interaction. It involves two-way communication of some sort, and that's the image that I'm showing there is information is going from the presenter to the audience and then back. Closing that loop is really important. And then one of the things that I always like to mention is some people use live and interactive interchangeably. They're not the same thing at all, because a program can be live without being interactive. And in that case, I would call it a lecture rather than an interactive program. So I just want to highlight that I am using the word interactive with purpose. So I don't necessarily, I'm not going to be talking about lectures, for example. All right, some benefits that I see of doing interactive programs, you can actually update them. So as things like the Bureau Rubin Observatory come online, we can update our programs to talk about current events and the latest discoveries. Each program is unique to the audience that's attending it. They all bring in their ideas, their questions, their comments. And that makes them feel like they're part of something special. And I shouldn't just say it makes them feel like they are a part of something special, because it is unique, it is customized to them. A big difference between an interactive program and a pre-recorded program, the teacher can actually find out, does this audience understand what I'm talking about before I move on? If there's a key concept that you need the audience to understand before moving on, with an interactive program, you can ensure that you have made your point before you go on to the knowledge that then builds on that concept. And then I added one that I think is true, at least it is for me. It's more fun for the presenter. I personally don't enjoy doing the same thing over and over and over again. So I like to shake things up and have it be a little bit different and maybe get a little more input and fun from the audience. So I did want to talk about the impact of Pacific Science Center because that was a huge part of my life. I learned so much there. And these are some of the impacts that I see for Digitalis. If anybody's not familiar with us, we make digital planetarium systems for portable and fixed domes. The portable aspect of that came directly from Pacific Science Center, my time doing outreach, because at the time there weren't any portable digital planetarium systems, just analog. And so that was very limiting in what you could do when you were out on the road. Now, really, portable and fixed systems offer the same capabilities, at least ours do. And so the difference is really just the environment rather than the functionality. Another impact of Pacific Science Center, untethered interfaces that work from anywhere in the dome. I put an example there of our web-based interface, the Universal Console. At the Willard Smith, we were expected to teach from different points in the dome, but in order to change the sky or use special effects, I always had to run back to the console and then move back around the dome. And so having an interface that I can just take with me makes it so that I'm not running around the dome quite so often. It really facilitates interaction with everyone. And then we're big on usability, designing interfaces that actually make it easy for you to find the features and the functions that you need when you need them to respond to the audience. And then why am I talking about all this? So why does it matter? So I firmly believe that without Pacific Science Center, Digitalis would not exist. And without Digitalis, LIPS would not exist. I think that Digitalis was uniquely positioned to start LIPS in that we're kind of disruptors to the market anyway. And so taking a chance on something like LIPS, because it was a brand new initiative, or at least an initiative that had lapsed. I know Alan Gould was involved in the PIPS, the participatory, I'm going to mangle the name, but that was basically an earlier predecessor to LIPS, but then it had lapsed. And so planetarium conferences were not focused so much on teaching, but more on showing full dome movie clips. So Digitalis did organize and host the first ever LIPS in 2011 at our headquarters. That's an old fire station. That's our building in that picture, of course. And you may see some faces you recognize. I'm there in the front row. Alan Gould is there with his red lips. We had these great plastic lips for people to have their picture taken with. Some people got by without them somehow. But yes, that was the first ever LIPS. We had about 43 people come from 5 countries, which was really exciting. Thailand, Canada, the Netherlands, the US, and I'm blanking on Japan. I knew I was going to forget one. So what is LIPS now that I've been doing all of this talking about it? The main LIPS, the Live Interactive Planetarium Symposium, is an annual gathering of 3 days. It's basically a professional development opportunity that focuses on the craft of teaching in a dome. We don't restrict it to any particular type of software, any particular type of equipment. So it doesn't matter if you're in a portable dome or a fixed dome, if you're using a Starball or a digital system, doesn't matter what software you're using. It's designed to offer something for everyone. So for example, we've done, Sarah Schultz is on this call too. She's done some fantastic sessions on the idea of questioning strategies in the dome, which applies to any type of equipment, any dome. LIPS includes sponsor presentations that are focused on how their products are used to deliver interactive programs, but there is no sponsor hall. And that means that sponsors actively participate in LIPS. One of the things that drove me crazy when I first started going to the regional conferences was that the sponsors were kind of tucked away in the exhibit hall when sessions were happening. And so many of us come from the planetarium world and have advice and input to offer, but we weren't getting that opportunity. And I do want to mention LIPS has been referred to as a master class, which I'm quite proud of. And so why does LIPS exist? To fill a need for professional development focused on the craft of teaching, I mentioned that. An interactive program is the hardest type to do well, simply because if you are approaching it with the goal of letting the audience drive it, you don't know where they're going to take you. And so you have to be ready to do anything. And then I like to say that LIPS was formed out of frustration with what was currently being offered at the regional conferences. So the big question when I started going to regional conferences, I asked myself, why are we all sitting in the dark, not talking to each other? Because it seemed like one of the main reasons to hold a conference in person was to give that opportunity to talk to each other. So missing out on that opportunity in the Dome was just didn't feel right to me. And so we do a lot of talking at LIPS. Several people here have been to LIPS and know that that is true. Some of the things that I see as impacts. We've had over 300 unique attendees since the first one in 2011. We do get about a 50-50 new and returning attendee ratio every year. Sometimes it's a little bit different from that, but that's generally what it is. I'm happy to say that most and soon to be all of the US regional conferences offer a LIPS-style day in conjunction with the conference. And then during regional conferences themselves, I feel like there's a bigger focus on interactive programming and its importance. And then last but not least, more equipment manufacturers recognize the importance of interface design to facilitate interaction. And mobile interfaces are a big part of that. We've always had mobile interfaces since we launched in 2003, but for a lot of vendors, that has not been the case. So getting involved, upcoming events, the main LIPS is coming up very quickly, July 23rd to 25th, hosted by the Fisk Planetarium in Boulder, Colorado. They hosted in 22 as well and did a fantastic job, so I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to be doing our first ever LIPS outside the US, September 15th to 17th in Vienna, Austria, hosted by Planetarium Wien. I'm probably saying it wrong, but looking forward to that, getting some good inquiries from that. And then coming up, another US opportunity is GLPA, which doesn't stand for anything. It's basically GLPA, Great Lakes Planetarium Association, and LIPS squished together. So I do a GLPA, ever since 2013, I've done a GLPA right before the GLPA conference kicks off. And this year, GLPA will be on Tuesday, October 7th. In Minneapolis, Minnesota with the Bell Museum. Some other ways you can get involved, and I can pop the LIPS site in the chat when I'm finished. But there is a LIPS website, there's a LIPS Facebook group, a LIPS Google group. You can email me to ask for an invitation, and I'll put my email address in the chat as well, because I want to wrap up. There's other folks that need to talk. That image, by the way, is from LIPS 2022, Eddie Goldstein showing off his fantastic gravity well. And then last but not least, I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you again to Ed and Ryan for inviting me to be part of this, and I look forward to the conversation afterwards. And that's a quokka, in case you're not familiar with them. I love them, so I like to close with a quokka. All right, thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karrie. Looking forward to having you be a part of the conversation after. And then, yes, Q&A. Everyone, you get a chance to ask each of these amazing panelists questions. So feel free to use the Zoom Q&A function. It's a fun little button that's somewhere hidden down as complicatedly as possible. It seems like Zoom always tries to hide all of its most cool features. But yeah, we're gonna jump to our next panelist, Michael Schultz. Michael is an incredible developer. He's the owner and managing director of Halbautomaten, and they're in Stuttgart based design studio specializing in infographics and information design. You've had a long history, and yes, since 2017, he's led the development of Kinetarium, an award-winning Domefest West. I gotta say, has been given out a number of those awards because of the amazing quality interactive full dome experiences that they produce. Michael, of course, brings over 20 years of expertise in visual communication and serves on the advisory board of the Animation Media Cluster in Germany. So, Michael, super stoked to have you here. Feel free to share your screen and jump right in. And I do want to make sure that Michael shares the exciting news of what will happen at the end of this session. But I'm just teasing it. Michael gets to take it. Take it away, Michael.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Ryan. Please hope we don't forget the topic on the end of the session. And yes, thank you for introduction. Thank you for attending. And I'm the founder of Halbautomaten, as Ryan already said. And we are creating the Kinetarium. The Kinetarium is a multiplayer platform for Fulldome. And our mission is to create fun and engagement, especially with science-related topics. And here you can see, for example, the topic of space debris and the related Kessler effect in a prototype version with more than 200 players in that session. What means multiplayer interactivity? My definition of interactivity is formed by the agency. So we created websites and apps and video games. And this is the definition of interactivity for me as a media person. And in the Kinetarium, everyone in the audience joins in our video games. And he or she takes control on her own avatar. The tasks are solved together and secrets are uncovered and high scores are cracked. Kinetarium is a platform for playing and learning together. Hundreds of participants can take part in real time. Visitors take their own devices, which serve as game controllers. Here you can see we build a website, which is a game controller, and it's dark, so the interface does not interrupt the dark and hurts the eyes. So everybody who is able to hold a mobile device can play with us. We create very collaborative and competitive formats. Here you can see soccer, and we don't use one ball only. We can create a lot of balls at the same time, but every team has only one goal. So this enables us and planetariums to attract new audiences that prefer games rather than passive linear content. In the recent years, we were able to create different shows, games, and quizzes. And as you see, I like graphics and posters, and we provide marketing material. For example, one game is Element Run. The topic is the periodic table. Every player has a little marble and can switch by one button on the controller the properties of the elements. So here it's iron and aluminum. And you can use, for example, the heaviness of iron to overcome obstacles in the course, or you are in a magnetic field and you use aluminum to get through. We build dome defenders. The whole audience has to work together to defend the dome against the robots. And a very favorite game, and as Ryan mentioned, very successful, is Cosmic Carousel. I like the logo as well. And there you can create your own star by collecting stardust, creating the star with different masses, and creating planets to create solar systems. And then you collide with other stars, and the masses come together. And as you see in the left upside corner, you can create together black holes. The best events succeed with a good moderator, a person who knows how to balance out the different types of audiences. He or she promotes to use also your voice. So sometimes it is getting really loud in our experiences. We have less extensive information transfer because we don't provide frontal teaching, but the experience is more intense and the involvement is higher. Sometimes the chaos factor plays a major role. So if you have a large number of players in your dome, part of the game is to face the challenge to lose your rocket or number. We have different use cases. We see completely new formats and opportunities to enrich the services offered by the planetariums and science centers. So, for example, we create special gaming events, or we are part in regular program. We are with the Kinetarium supplement to existing shows, and we also offer entertainment during breaks. And we receive very nice feedback from our visitors, for example, on Facebook or Instagram. And now I come to some technical aspects. Because of the different games, when you switch the games, the game controller on the website of the visitors switches automatically. So every game controller is very dark and provides only the information which is necessary to handle the game. We also provide a show controller. This is, like Karrie also mentioned, necessary if you are one person in the dome and you want to walk around and give information, switch games, use moderation tips and tricks. And we are glad to develop at the moment tilted and flat versions of our multiplayer games. They are, from the game mechanics, different, sometimes the same, like here soccer. And yeah, it's really nice to give an impression about the game, because it's very hard to present your games in the dome. So I lost the plot a little bit. I'm in the technical part. So this is how the mechanics work. We only provide software. So your dome has to handle the projection. The client, number 2 here in the picture, is a computer in the planetarium, and it receives the information collected by our cloud servers. And the number 4 are the mobile devices of the visitors. So we collect all the information inputs of the visitors, send it to our client in the dome, and the dome creates the video game on site. So this is really easy, because you only have to download the software, and we provide a free trial So you're welcome to get in contact with me. And we provide you a download link. We also have a special summer offer. So it is perhaps interesting for you to visit our website, www.kinetarium.space. I'll post the link afterwards in the chat. I'm not so familiar with presenting and chatting at the same time. And yeah, follow us on Instagram or take the newsletter ever. So at the moment, we are developing a new content. It is a racing game to the center of the Earth. And hopefully in autumn, we could provide first prototype sessions. Then thank you for your attention and hope to see you soon again. At the end.
Yes, there you go. Go ahead. Go ahead.
At the end, I can offer a session of the flat version of soccer. So if you stay in the call, we can play together.
Yes, so please stick around if you can. We know people have meetings. It's a work day, but this is worth sticking around for. Ed and I were playing it in the tech rehearsal, and it was genuinely sad when we had to stop testing it. So yeah, stick around. But thank you so much, Michael. The next individual I want to introduce is Brittany Kundert. And this is the first half of David jumping out of the frame. This is the first half of the Intuitive Planetarium team in Huntsville, Alabama. But Brittany Kundert is a UAH, woohoo, is a science communicator, show producer, and technical developer at the Intuitive Planetarium, where she creates immersive, astronomy-focused dome experiences for audiences of all ages. Her projects include To Bennu and Back. I clearly am showing the Vera Rubin first look. Very excited things coming out of that, and then the James Webb The Story Unfolds production. Brittany also leads strategic initiatives that help planetariums grow as lifelong learning hubs through innovation and outreach. So Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you take it away, and then we'll introduce David here in a little tiny bit, but go. There he is, but you go ahead and take it away.
All right, thank you, Ryan. And thank you everyone for being here with us today. This is so exciting for us just to be here. And especially I'd love to share with you guys a little bit about just our experience doing live and interactive shows. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And like Ryan was saying, I am with the Intuitive Planetarium at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, home of Space Camp, of course. And our planetarium opened in 2019, so just over 6 years old now. And pretty shortly after the planetarium opened, our programming kind of evolved to be exclusively live and interactive programming. And the reason for that is just it supports our mission goal of inspiring the spirit of discovery in all individuals. So we can do that very well and flexibly through this live and interactive sort of style of programming. And I just want to share with you a little bit of what we do and the responses we've seen from our community, because it has been a very rewarding experience. So here we can see our 2025 program roster. So these are the current offerings that we have through our planetarium. And all of these we design and create in-house. So we make all of our own shows and programs. And we do that so that they can all be interactive. So they're designed to be live and interactive shows where we are talking with, back and forth with our audience. And the audience really gets to be sort of an active participant in their own learning journey. And for the sake of time, I won't talk about all of these today, but I would at least like to just share with you what we've learned through our daily shows. And in the summer season, like right now, we will present about 5 to 8 daily shows per day. And these are all live and interactive, like we see right here. So if you were to sort of imagine yourself in the audience here, you're at the Rocket Center, you're ready to view our place in space, which is our solar system kind of planet hopping tour. And in this case, right down at the front, we can see Chloe. That's one of our presenters here. And so you would be greeted by Chloe, and she would introduce herself as this cosmic tour guide and tell you about how you get to explore space with her together for the next 40 minutes or so. She would immediately begin trying to connect with you and interact with you, maybe asking the audience questions, letting you know you can respond to her. She might ask you to clap in response to prompts, or maybe point stuff out on the dome, talk about things with your neighbor. There's all sorts of ways that we can interact that varies based off of the presenter. But what she will also let you know is that this is not going to be a film, but she is actually in charge of everything. So she will be live controlling all of the visuals through a control panel via Digistar on her iPad and just pressing buttons to cue different visuals. She will be live flying around all of the planets and through the solar system using an Xbox One controller. She'll have her mic, her laser pointer, so she's all ready to go and be your cosmic tour guide. And so we really want the audience here to feel like they are an active participant in the show, and they do influence the direction of the show by responding to questions and things, but also maybe even in ways that they're not aware of. Because what you probably wouldn't realize sitting in the audience here is that Chloe is also trying to scan the room and see what maybe demographics or ages we have in the group, and then she's going to adjust all of her talking points for that specific audience that is in the dome. So every show is delivered to a unique audience, and every audience has a show that is tailored to be personally relevant to them. And I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of live presenting, is this adaptability. And there's lots of factors that go into something like this, but I think one of the biggest factors that I mentioned earlier are the visuals. And so we make all of our visuals in-house so that we can continuously make them adaptable during the show, but also we can update them consistently. So as soon as we find out new findings from something like a space telescope, we can incorporate that into the respective shows in the dome the same day. So we're always able to stay as current as possible, which makes it more enriching for our audiences. And in this picture, we can see that Chloe has moved on to Venus during the Our Place in Space show. And from here, she has a lot of options of things that she could talk about. So we design our visuals to be modular, so we're not making these long sequences of visuals that she has to sort of time out and talk to, but rather she can basically pull up any visual that she wants at any time. And since she is live flying in Digistar, she can fly anywhere in the universe that she wants at any point in time, which I'll talk more on in just a second. But this allows her to have a lot of options. She could bring up Venus's atmosphere, or even highlight all of the volcanoes on Venus. So there's lots of options of things that she is able to talk about, and just have that flexibility with what the audience wants to see too. And she's not going to do all of those because, again, we would like to jump everywhere in the universe, but we also want to keep the shows a little bit on track, because we are ultimately, at the end of the day, telling the audiences a story. So this is kind of where we have to balance that being an interactive show with creative and scientific storytelling. So our presenters are not only needing to kind of distill these complex topics and tailor them to specific audiences, but they're also trying to mesh this all together into a compelling story that the audiences will remember and that will help deepen their engagement. So I think, again, this is really the power of this sort of live and interactive style. And we have seen lots of a very positive response from our audiences. In fact, at the end of our shows, we have our audiences fill out a survey through a QR code where they can rate the show, rate the presenter, rate the content, the visuals, all that, and let us know their thoughts. And that has been overwhelmingly positive with this style of programming. Our average score is 3.9 out of 4, and our low score, I think, is 3.85 out of 4. So audiences are really resonating with this type of programming. And specifically, what we have seen is they are able to actively engage with the content. And that's a little bit different than what we are typically used to when we're going through our lives and we have a lot of this passive media consumption, scrolling on your phone, watching Netflix, watching a movie, things like that. So this is allowing them to kind of flip that switch and actively engage in not only this show, but also start to engage in their own learning process, which can be life-changing for a lot of people. We are able to make these shows adaptable. So the fact that we can go anywhere we want in the universe at any time, that we have, that we are making our own visuals and we're presenting this live, of course, allows us to change and adapt the show for every specific audience that we get, which makes it a lot more relevant to them. We can better communicate why they should be interested in space and whatever we're discussing. And I think it also, very importantly, establishes trust between the presenters, the staff at the planetarium, and our communities. So we're establishing those relationships and those connections, which is going to encourage lifelong curiosity and this sort of desire to learn. And it also very well positions us to be this resource that our community can keep coming back to throughout their lifetimes, throughout their learning journey. And this is something that we want to share with other planetariums too. We want everyone to be able to experience this. And that was kind of the thought process for us to decide to start licensing our live shows, because we know that a lot of planetariums want to do this, and a lot do. And there are also planetariums that just might not have time to put together a live show because, it is kind of a lot of work to put together all those assets and the script and whatnot. And we all wear a lot of hats. We're all super busy. So we thought, why don't we just share what we've learned? Why don't we just license the show, kind of wrap up the script and example script, all of the digital assets in a nice little bow. And then we actually go to our licensee sites and then install all those assets and customize it for their domes, make sure everything looks good, is functioning properly. And then we're also available for training on site at those domes for a few days, where if they haven't done live and interactive shows before, we can walk through how best to do that. And then, of course, cover all of the information that's present in whichever show they might have licensed. So far we have gotten to work with 7 amazing domes. And it has just been such an incredible experience to see audiences at those sites react in the same way, and even see how those sites take our programming and sort of customize it to their site for their audiences. And we just recently launched our solar system tour, Our Place in Space, to be available for licensing, in addition to the existing James Webb Space Telescope show. So I'm super excited about that. That's also one of the things that I do here at the Planetarium, is our licensing. But again, very exciting to see how audiences react to this all across the board. And I know I'm running out of time. So to wrap up, I kind of just want to highlight how transformative that this type of interactive programming can really be. Because again, we are having our audiences be active participants in their learning journey. So we're inspiring audiences to learn, to come back with the planetarium, this desire for audiences to understand what they don't know. And that can be very transformative. That can improve the way that they go through their lives and learn, and also interact with others. It can improve our communities and society as a whole. So that is the strategic vision of the Rocket Center, changing lives to change the world through the power and passion of exploration. And that is why we create and use live and interactive planetarium shows. So that is all from me. I know I'm out of time. Later, you are going to hear from David. He's going to share a little bit more about how exactly we implement content into the dome and then onto our audience's phones. So that's going to be exciting. But for now, I will throw it back to Ryan. So thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany. Yes, we've got David coming up, and I've got to tell you, he has been saying this thing, dome to phone, and every single time I hear the words correctly, but I'm still not certain what you're actually saying. So this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. We'll introduce David real quick. If any of you don't know him, he is the director of the Intuitive Planetarium there at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. Space Camp, greatest early 90s film ever. Definitely watched it a million times. And where he leads the team creating live and interactive astronomy education powered by cutting-edge data visualizations. He is also a astrophysicist with the Worldwide Telescope Project and teaches advanced space science to top students across Alabama. David holds degrees in engineering physics for Embry-Riddle. That is amazing. There's so many pilots or pilot adjacent people at working in this space. It clearly all of us just want to control our destiny and fly into space. But yeah, David holds degrees in engineering physics and brings a deep expertise in immersive and data-driven storytelling. So David, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I cannot wait to get clarity. Dome to phone. Looking forward to this.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the introduction and the invitation to be here. And thank you to everyone for joining us this morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, day. And yeah, I think to sort of tack on to what Brittany said a little bit and to progress a little bit further, I want to talk to you a little bit more about our approach to creating live and interactive experiences that feature immersive visualization, because you can ask the questions, you can say the things, you can interact in ways with your audience, but if you don't have something behind you, or you have something that's just very static, it can only take you so far, right? And so we really strive to create immersive environments that feature real data, and that is not just the data itself, from whenever, but from as recently as possible. So I want to start with that. We'll have to pause on we'll go data to dome first, and then dome to phone, and you'll get that fun part. So I will also share, and that will be fun. And you should see nothing at this point, hopefully, because standby. What you probably didn't realize is that well, what you probably did realize is that the James Webb Space Telescope is about to celebrate its third anniversary of science in 2 days, Saturday. And what I didn't realize, and what you probably didn't realize, is that they were going to release their third anniversary image today, only about a few minutes ago. And one of our folks texted me and said, hey, it's here. So what's really neat about our programming in the Intuitive Planetarium is that it's already in the dome, and our audiences have already seen it. So that's super cool. And now you're going to see it. So let's, I was frantically looking at this while Brittany was talking. And if I did things right, you also get to see it. So this is the night sky. I know it's kind of hard to see. Can you see the screen? Are we sharing this night sky?
It's coming through great.
Okay, good. All right. So normally we'd set up something a little bit more script-like to do this, but hey, power of Digistar. There is AVM tagging in this. That means that there is positional data, tells you where it should be in the sky, tells you how big it should be, rotation, all that mess. Not all astro images have this, and if they don't, what are you doing, data center? But if they do, kudos to you, data center, and we love you for it. So without further ado, the third anniversary image is the cat's paw, or rather a singular toe bean of it. This screen is so hard to see. So I'm going to zoom in and hope this works. This is untested. Is that the cat's paw? No, it's not. On further review. Would this flying make your audience sick? Yes, it would. But are you on a small screen and unfazed? I hope so. So, data to dome at its finest. This picture is pretty big, about 11K by 11K. It's also beautiful. It's also in context to the sky. So we're zooming in on the Digitized Sky Survey, which is very nice. Unfortunately, the astrometry in DSS2 is like fairly hot garbage. So bummer on that. That means that if we do a little bit of crossfading as I move way too many windows around on a laptop, let's see. If we do some crossfading, it leaves a bit to be desired from the positional mess. But if we did something and swapped that up to a different background, it should line up pretty nicely. We could do that if you wanted, like super real time. We like live interactive, right? Again, untested. Let's see. How good are we? Not good. Let's see. I typed the wrong thing. Wait for it. Almost there. My windows are so small. All the Zoom sharing windows are in my way.
Struggling.
I'm moving them around like crazy. I failed you. Okay, you don't get it. Sorry. You're gonna have to deal with Digitized Sky Survey, and it's okay. But point is that this came out a couple minutes ago, I guess maybe like an hour ago. And now we're showing it to you in context of the sky, and it's also on our dome. And our audiences are able to engage with that extremely, extremely rapidly, right? And see where it is in context of the sky. Look at this singular toe beam. We can talk about how these very massive stars are eroding away their stellar nurseries, and we can see that in spectacularly high resolution fashion. We can zoom into these like dense pockets of gas and dust that are resisting that erosion of ultraviolet energy emanating away from these young hot stars. Like, how cool is that, right? And we can do this all in real time. And so when we're building our shows, like the James Webb Space Telescope, The Story Unfolds that Brittany was talking about, we're building them intentionally with the ability to change them very rapidly so that we can adjust to the latest and greatest things that are coming out from James Webb or whoever else it is, whatever the topic is. And we're trying to set up visualizations in this immersive fashion and take data in its I don't want to say its most raw form because that's not pretty, in its processed form, but represented in a way that is contextual when possible, that is immersive, and that is kind of the full display of beauty in a unique environment that you can't get anywhere else. So that's the data to dome part, right? And yet we want to engage with our audiences outside of our dome, because maybe you get a guest who comes once on vacation, like we're right off of the I-65 corridor. So you get somebody who's coming from wherever in the Midwest, and they come down to the beach, and we have beautiful beaches much south of us, and they need to stop and go to the bathroom, and they see a huge rocket, and they're like, whoa, that looks cool. Let's go there. So then they do, and maybe that's the only time we see them, right? So how do we continue to engage with these folks? Well, we take this learning that we're doing in the planetarium, and we build digital interactives that are accessible through whatever device that you have that can connect to the internet, and share that on our way. But I'm teasing you a little bit more because I want to show you the dome version, and then I'll show you the phone version. So we're going to go now to a completely different topic, but one that's still big data and still super epic. So here, put in the chat, do you want galaxies from Rubin or nebulae from Rubin? You have 15 seconds. Go. I should point out, galaxies. Oh, that's the wrong answer. That's the right answer. Oh, no, it's half and half. I'm not counting. Oh, nebula one. Okay, cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the data processing for this, because these images are just so very big. We were very fortunate to work with the folks from Noir Lab to host the First Look Domecast, and in collaboration with Noir Lab. And when we got like really only like 2-day early access to these images, it was very overwhelming because they were not in the format that they had given us for like test image. They were about the same size. This is about a 84,000 by 60,000 pixel image, so very, very big. The file size is like 27 gigabyte TIFF, big TIFF. TIFFs don't even go that big, so it's the big TIFF file size. It's a 10-bit color space. Or actually 16-bit color space, so it just upped the ante on everything. So the question was, how do we get this into a planetarium and do it in a way that is performant for lots of different types of hardware, not just our own? How do we get this immersive? How do we get it big? And also, it's kind of the wrong shape to show it full dome. So what do we do? So I'm very proud of our team for putting together this sort of unique hemispherical holder. We tiled up this image into a few thousand by a few thousand pixel squares that you just saw load in. And we converted it to a direct draw surface, DDS file, which I personally hate, honestly, but they worked very well within Digistar. It actually held the color space pretty nicely and allowed us to get full resolution images, and then we can hop around the image in very high performant fashion during the Domecast. And this worked even when we had the live stream that was coming in as streamed video from YouTube from NSF in Washington, D.C. At the same time, we had this moving around on the dome behind people, and it worked very well for everyone, pretty much besides us, to be honest. But we have sort of a weird setup, but it still worked well for us too. So right now we're zooming in on the Trifid in striking fashion. I know you've seen these pictures, but wow, they're so pretty, right? We could jump over to the lagoon, but since we're right next to it, we'll jump over to M21 first. That's that open stellar cluster in here. And with putting together some sort of prescriptable hot links of where we can jump, that allows us to very quickly move from place to place in a very controlled fashion. We also have this set up so that you can use a controller and fly around in more sickening fashion, or good if you've practiced. Offering our audiences the opportunity to see this data, as quickly as it comes available, and at kind of the full beauty that there is to offer. So then the question, as Ryan has continually prodded, what is the data to dome to phone part? The dome to phone part you can find right here. So if you scan this QR code, maybe you're on a device, but you can type in that, or no, I'll just send you a link. Fine, okay, fine. Copy and paste for the win. So I'll move this over. Kind of small for a moment. Actually, I'll get rid of our QR code for just a moment. You snooze, you lose on that globular cluster there, NGC 6544. But this lets you do basically the same thing on your phone. So I put this interactive together with the Cosmic Data Stories team that's situated at the CFA at Harvard. And we work on Worldwide Telescope Interactives on fun occasion. But this is, again, full resolution and in context of the sky. It is crossfadeable, so we can pull up different tools. So we can pull up a crossfader. This has much better alignment because I aligned it manually. That was a pain. And we have a fun scaling bar here, so you can see how big Vera Rubin's field of view is compared to other things in the sky. We have various regions of interest that we can highlight and different features in there. So if you saw some of the annotations from the NORA Lab release, we basically custom put all of those in as well, so that you can see what you're looking at and also where you're looking at it. So when you click on a new thing, it slews you over there. It shows you where the thing is, because I don't know what IC 1274 is. I don't know about you, but now we know, because we spent a great effort to figure out that's this like pocket of nebulosity that's being carved out by young hot stars, similar to what we saw in that one toe beam of the cat's paw. So you can play with this and explore. It's all sorts of fun. You can go to see your galaxies if you so desire. Fine, we'll go to see that too, because it's epic. This is a 97.5K by 51.5K image with just so much stuff in it. I really like these 4 gravitationally interacting galaxies right in here. This is so much fun. You can see my cursor pointing this out. I also really like this galaxy in the bottom of the image as I highlight all these things. We also have hot links to take you to things that are fun. Oh no, where is it? There we go. Here's my little buddy. Look at NGC 4378, which I knew off the top of my head. Actually not, but you get the idea. So data to dome, dome to phone in painfully current fashion that helps complement our ability to be live and interactive as much as possible, and immerse the audience in the conversation so that they can experience things in a very unique fashion on an absolutely enormous canvas, or even a small canvas in your tiny portable that you take somewhere else, but it's still epic. So that is where I'll close it for now, with a mention that we are trying to continue to expand into domecasting more to try to bring live and interactive to as many places as possible. And I guess I should also mention that, not with this one specifically, but with previous domecasts, we've been able to connect various SMEs, think astronauts who launched space telescopes like Eileen Collins, to other sites for two-way conversation to facilitate two-way Q&A in the dome environment across multiple planetariums, across countries, across continents, and we're looking to do more of that. So stay in touch if you're interested in more, and we're trying to also be able to make that as system agnostic as possible, which is a huge challenge and one that I would be thrilled for you to work with me on. So all of that said, I'll wrap up. Thanks so much for having me, and appreciate the time to talk to all of you. Goodbye.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Now keep your camera on. We're also going to invite Michael and Karrie to jump back on as well. And we're going to have some quick questions, and then we're going to move right into the Q&A because we've got a bunch of really great questions from the audience. But first, I'd love to do a quick overview with each of you, just really fast. If you wouldn't mind sharing some of the key tools and technologies that are available for creating immersive full dome environments. So it could be the technologies you use or just key technologies. We kind of want to just drop a whole bunch of names that people can Google search. We're going to go ahead and start with the Intuitive Planetarium team. We're going to come to Michael and end with Karrie. So Brittany and David, just go ahead and share with us the names of key tools and technologies currently you're working with.
Okay, yeah. So let me start by saying that in our planetarium we use Digistar. We're still on Digistar 7. We, for domecasting, have been domecasting live through Digistar, which is a native domecast environment if you have Digistar. If you don't have Digistar, that makes it really hard. And so for this last one, we offered a 2K YouTube stream, which is currently the max that YouTube can push. We're exploring ways to get higher resolution system agnostic methods. I'm a resolution snob. I was very surprised at how decent the 2K by 2K stream was out of YouTube. So we're working at doing it better and better. We use Worldwide Telescope a lot of the time. We're sort of the engine itself to build these custom web interactives to deliver data to dome, but also build off of other things that exist. So like NASA Eyes on the Universe, NASA Trek, really you name it. There's so many things, so many both NASA and like NOAA or NWS, different things that you can get data from. Christian, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait till the next cool telescope. No, because we're going to do another one in the fall. We'll keep you tuned. Let's see. We also do a lot of data wrangling with various Python tools. So like geospatial, we do things with GDAL. But really, I'll say maybe the tools are less important as your creativity to use whatever system you have. So it's not like this is hey, you need Digistar or you need Worldwide Telescope or you need something else. Use what you have, figure out how to get the data into your system for that extra, not fluff, but substance for your interaction. And a really good way to help you do that right now is AI. We do a lot of AI supplement in our workflow for wrangling data into into the dome. And yes, Kat, I agree. The most important tool is the presenter. So I'll stop. I could talk about this for an entire forum.
Awesome. Brittany, do you want to jump in with anything that you work with your technical team?
I think David covered most of that, but I think the most important thing to highlight is working with what you already have, because really no matter what system you have, you can always find small ways to start incorporating interactive content into your dome. I mean, even if you play all films, just try starting, making sure you're greeting the audience or doing a 5-minute star show at the beginning or something. There's always something you can do with what you have, and then build from there if you like the style.
Very true. Very true. Michael, some key tools, technologies, platforms that you're building on to bring us to your products.
It's much more simple. We use Unity 3D, the game engine, to develop the games. This has some advantages. It is open for every platform, so we can develop for different operation systems. And the designing style, the aesthetics, we can control very good. And then for 3D, we use Blender. We have a Blender pipeline for Unity also, and the design, the process, and the development is supported by AI.
Awesome. It's
simple.
Creeping in more. We'll have an AI forum at some point. Karrie, let's turn to you. Just tools, techniques, or tools.
Yeah, so I am, of course, most familiar with our own planetarium systems. And so we have some functionality called augmented lessons, which are basically lessons in digital form that people can create themselves. We include several as well. And they have command buttons to launch software scripts, thumbnails for images and videos to show narration. It's all there. So that exists. But I think that our main strength as a development company is that you don't need that framework once you get to know the interfaces. You can actually jump around and do anything because our web-based interface, the Universal Console, is not just a stripped down interface. It's not just a set of buttons. It's a full, robust interface that runs on a tablet, and so you can actually move around the dome. I've handed it to people and let them position media on the dome, especially for seasonal lessons. So we really emphasize that augmented lessons are great for giving you a structure, but the ability to do whatever you need to do from wherever you need to do it, I think, is really key for us. Other tools, we have a powerful scripting language in the Universal Console interface. You can actually write and edit scripts. You can do free flight with the gamepad that spits out a script text, and then you can edit that if you need to. And then I do want to do one plug for LIPS. If you want to get started doing live shows, come to LIPS. One of the ideas that I've kicked around for years is starting a LIPS boot camp, because some people feel like, oh, I don't do live shows, LIPS is not for me. So having something that goes right to the basics, I think, could be really helpful. But I'm only one person, so I haven't gotten to there yet.
LIPS boot camp. Sarah Schultz seems like she's ready to sign up.
Yeah, well, she doesn't need it, but she could help me lead it.
Ooh, Sarah, I hear the universe calling. All right, well, that's great. We're going to go in reverse order. So we'll start with Karrie. Can you share a little bit of your perspective on how these interactive elements enhance the educational potential of a visit to the planetarium or a full dome experience? How is the education potential really impacted?
Well, I think the main thing is the ability to confirm understanding. So as I mentioned in my presentation, so that you're not assuming an audience understood the concept that you presented in your movie. You can actually ask them questions from different angles to ensure that they have the information they need, that foundational information, before you move on to the next topic that needs to build on whatever came before. And I think giving people the power to guide their own learning is a very powerful thing. And an interactive program does provide that if you're approaching it from the let the audience do some steering perspective. So those are my big points.
Awesome. Michael, your thoughts on how your games bring home educational concepts?
So this is very different. So we have cases with some science-related content. So we can only provide an awareness about the topic because we, as I told, we are not a frontal teaching, but the engagement is much higher than I see in linear video films. So due to the affordance of creating interactivity with your own smartphone, nobody falls asleep. So there's a lot of going on, and I support the idea of the important thing, the most important thing in the dome is the moderator, and the moderator can comment and act like a esports moderator and support the community, the interaction, and to solve the obstacles. So I hope no one ever fell asleep in our shows.
I mean, if they did, it would be their own fault. But yeah, that's a good point. Allowing every person to have some sort of agency makes it hard for people to get bored. Really good points. Brittany, David, want to turn it to you. Same question. The impact or enhancement of the educational potential. What have been your guys' experience?
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. I think Michael and Karrie touched on this really well already, but that agency, or at least ability for the audience to actively participate in the show, is really crucial to their learning experience. And I think most importantly, that can go even beyond the dome, because now not only do you have the audience engaging in this planetarium show and this space science content, but they're also being an active participant in their own learning process and figuring out how they learn. And that learning can be a fun and casual activity that they can incorporate into their life. So it is inspiring this sort of desire to learn and showing people how to do that I think is so important, because that will change every aspect of their lives and not just them learning about space science.
I guess hard to follow all the things that have been said, but I guess I'll add in two things. First is that the term moderator was thrown out, which I like. We like to think of it as, instead of a lecture or even so much of a presentation, it's a mutual exploration together, right? So whoever is leading this experience, yes, they might be the one who's saying most of the things, but there's this opportunity to all explore the thing together. And when you can pull in, the latest and greatest observations from whatever thing, that just adds to the impact, right? If you're looking at the night sky and you're doing your standard star talk and showing, how you can find stars and constellations and whatever thing, that's amazing. That's so powerful, and it's so beautiful to do today what our ancestors have done for so long. But then to do something that they can't do, where you can then zoom in on the sky and show them what our most powerful telescopes are seeing, or fly to another planet and zoom over the landscape that we've observed with orbiters or something. That kicks it up that notch. And again, like the person who is moderating this, who is leading this experience, is not talking at you, but rather, hey, let's be this exploratory tour guide who can create this magical experience. And we really strive to try to be, to keep the magic as much as possible so that they're not seeing behind the curtain so much. Planetarium pilots, exactly. I love it. We do have flight school because we do lots of live flight with the controller. And some people do really well and some people crash and burn. And that's bad. So anyway, yeah, so I think having this mutual exploratory experience that they can do in the planetarium to set themselves up well to facilitate their lifelong learning in a different fashion after they leave our doors is something we feel very strongly about.
Yes, that plays such an important part. Igniting the want to learn. So
Absolutely.
cool. And now understanding the dome to phone, that's such a great way of allowing people to go home and continue that exploration and have their little minds blown, or big minds. I mean, I don't want to take the parents out of the equation. Okay, so we're gonna go on to another question real quick. And then we'll start getting into the Q&A. Thank you all for dropping your questions in there. But okay, say a planetarium director is ready to go. They're like, I'm sold. You guys don't need to say anything more, though I'm still wanting to learn more. What would be the biggest technical challenges that they would run into right off the bat? And maybe they're small technical challenges, but essentially, what are the technical hurdles that these different planetarium managers or locations would need to jump through? I'll kind of let whoever wants to just answer the question right off the bat, and then I'll go through and pick up the last. So is there any one of you that want to kind of take this question on, technical hurdles that they should keep in mind to overcome to start interactive programming?
I can start.
Take it away, Karrie.
A big technical hurdle is an interface that doesn't let you easily find what you need when you need it. And so figuring out a way to make your interface understandable for your presenters to move around as they need to, I think is critical, which is one of the reasons why Digitalis puts so much effort into usability, because most of our users do live and interactive programs rather than pre-recorded.
Great point. Great point. Having that from the front of the room control.
Mm-hmm.
Great point. All right, Michael, we're coming to you, and then Brittany, David.
So I can only speak from my perspective because we only create different content. So when you have managed to get the live input from the video feed to your dome, then everything is prepared. You only have to provide internet connection, but this is very standard at the moment. And for the Kinetarium, the most critical part is the system providing multi-channel video capture. If the system is only one projector, that's a plug-and-play solution. And we have also plug-and-play solutions with existing big planetariums like 9-channel systems. If there is a capture card included, then it's really easy. And then you have to care about your internet connection, and then everything is running.
That's a good point. And actually, if we could drill down into that a tiny bit more, this is actually a question that Barbara asked out of Glendale. Great that you joined us, Barbara. Does the Kinetarium output a video feed, or is it actually software that can be run on the Digitalis, the Cosm, the Skyscan kind of server?
So a long time ago, we tested with Karrie for Linux systems. So this is, I thought it runs very smooth. So we are not connected to an operating system or a provider. But the only thing is that capture cards or live video capture is possible. And luckily, all the planetariums which are built at the moment or which are getting refurbished are stuffed with live video performance.
Yes, good point. It's becoming more and more common. We're also seeing tools like NDI starting to come into the space, which are really opening up opportunities.
We provide NDI and Spout, and of course, I never tested on an LED dome, so I'm very excited to travel to Prague to see Europe's first LED dome, and perhaps we can play there.
Can't wait to see some screenshots from that. We have a question about LEDs and the brightness that we'll be hitting here in a second from Corberon. So David, Brittany, your guys' turn in the hot seat. Yeah, technical challenges.
All right. And to talk about technical challenges, I think I might approach this a little bit differently because in my experience, the technical challenge might be a little bit more, at least in my case, of a user challenge where I know that one of the hardest aspects, at least for me, is just learning to use the tools that actually are available, because there are tools, I mean, Digistar, Digitalis, Kinetarium, whatever you use to facilitate interacting with your audience. But it's really difficult to learn some of these things. I know, at least in my experience with Digistar and Uniview many moons ago, it's not super intuitive. And so trying to figure out how to implement your own content, how to customize content, how to do that sort of modular format with control panels and mastering all of that can be pretty difficult. So I would definitely recommend not only just trying to learn via the training manuals and whatnot that it's offered by your software providers, but also reaching out to other domes that are actively doing the type of content that you want and trying to connect with them and learn from them in that fashion as well, because that can be very helpful. And one other thing, I saw Lionel post in the chat that the moderator has to know a lot about astronomy, and that is true. That's also a very big challenge. You have to learn a lot of technical information and just have this big astronomy background, or at least knowledge about what you're presenting on, in order to be conversational about it, be able to interact with people. So learning more than what you're going to say is very crucial when you're presenting. And that's why I would definitely recommend investing in your presenters as much as you possibly can in their training. And even like Kat said earlier, the greatest asset of the planetarium field is the people who work in it. So that would be my advice on that.
I want to chime in on that. Jeff Nee actually beat me to it, but when I was training presenters at Pacific Science Center, or moderators, which I think is a better word, I always said, do not be afraid to say, I don't know. They are very powerful words. No scientist, no person knows every single thing. So there's no reason why you should be expected to know every single fact about what you're presenting. You have to know the basics, but don't feel like you have to know every single fine detail. Say, I don't know if you don't know, and then talk about how to find the answer.
And that builds, it builds credibility. Mm-hmm. So you beat me to that, which is, So I think maybe to summarize all these things, we all know that planetarians wear so many hats. And so the success of, live and interactive experiences really relies on, I think, focusing on your strengths and doing them well, and identifying your weaknesses and whatever it is, and then working to improve on those things. So if you're really technical and you can build the things, awesome. Practice the presenting and interacting part. If you are the opposite, or maybe you're a great presenter but you don't know the content so well, like brushing up on the astronomy. Maybe you are a researcher and you understand the science so well, but talking to people makes you scared. You're probably not on this call then, but you get the idea. So I think it is so multifaceted, and it's really, I think that's the joy of being a planetarian, right? Is that we get to have our hands in so many different things, and that's also so hard. And so there's so many challenges involved with so many things, and it's kind of a point, person to person, sort of, I guess, what the biggest technical challenge is. that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Thank you all so much, first off, for just engaging in this discussion. It's great that you guys are all kind of in sync a little bit when thinking about the different ways of solving these problems, as well as really inspiring the next generation. This webinar chat has just been so much fun. So huge thank you to the audience. I'd love to get into our Q&A, audience Q&A, and we've got a couple questions that are really great. I'm going to go through them, not quite in the exact order, but we're going to start off with one that's kind of easy. It comes from Barbara, again from Glendale. She was commenting on those sexy shoulder seat lights that I think the Intuitive Planetarium has, and wants to know where she could get those.
Our lighting's horrible.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer.
Okay, well,
Don't copy ours.
which seat is that? Yours, Karrie?
Yes,
Sorry.
that's mine. I was talking about the Willard Smith Planetarium at Pacific Science Center with the over-the-shoulder lights.
There we go.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't mention about that dome was that it also has a fairly short spring line. And so the dome, the bottom edge of the dome is about 5 feet above your heads. And so when you sit on the bench seats, the dome is not too far above you. And when I was there, I think they were just kind of standard fluorescent lights, but I should say that I left in early 2003. So I imagine by now they've put in maybe strips of LED lights around the bottom edge of the dome. But the combination of having the dome be a little bit closer to the audience than it is most of the time, and the concentric bench seats makes it easier. If you have more than one row of seats, it's going to be much harder to get over-the-shoulder lighting to the middle, right? Which is where the lighted clipboards that Alan Gould and the Lawrence Hall of Science, those come in really handy. And I did a quick search. You can find some on Amazon now. But you might want some red theater gel.
Some red theater gel, and I mean, it's there on Amazon. I guess no matter what, we're all going to be making Bezos richer. But I guess he needs to pay for his wedding somehow. Poor guy. Anyways, all right, jumping into another question. This one is about feedback. And this was actually one of our questions that we were going to do it as kind of a group. But actually, yeah, let's do a quick lightning round, I guess, of thoughts. How do each of you collect feedback on your interactive programs? Specifically, quantitative feedback that you can look back on or share with your development team. Who wants to take this first? Karrie, you started first last time, so let's jump Michael, and then we'll do Brittany, David, and then come to you, Karrie, at the end. Go ahead, Michael, take it away.
So we collect, or we try to collect feedback from every event we are participating. We provide on our show controller a button for poll, and we ask the audience to give us feedback. So we have lots of feedback collected in the last years. And another way is we created a quiz. So the Kinetarium provides the functionality to build quizzes within the Kinetarium. You can write your own questionnaire, and then you can instantly ask the audience about facts, for example, or about soft topics like how they felt, what's going on, or something about the presentation or something like that.
That's awesome. So it's something that's part of the product, and you can utilize that. Are people that license Kinetarium able to access those features as well? Like, are they able to collect feedback directly?
With a quiz, but not with a poll.
Okay, awesome. David, Brittany, how do you guys collect feedback and then implement it into your presentations?
So to collect our feedback, I think for the past 6 months or so, we have a QR code at the end of a show that audiences can scan and fill out a form that basically has them rate the presenter, the visuals, the entire experience and the content of the show. And then we also have like a notes section so they can get specific as to why they rated things certain way, or if they want us to change anything, then we can see that as well. And we have been able to incorporate some of that feedback into our shows. And I will say another method that's maybe less quantitative is, since it is a live presentation, our presenter also greets everyone on their way out of the planetarium too. And then we get a lot of verbal feedback that way as well that we can then implement into our shows.
Good point. Just talk to him. Just talk to him.
Yeah.
I'll say, I guess the only thing to add is feedback in the show. This has already been touched upon, but we really do like to kind of assess how people are understanding the content, and based on what their responses are to our interaction points. And so that's not so much like, did you like the show? I mean, sometimes it is, if they're just like silent and they look scared or something in the glow. But for the most part, that gives us, really, really good understanding of if they are understanding or not, or if they're liking the path that we're taking. And if the response is weird for some reason, then we can divert and go, a slightly different path.
And actually, we let our audiences choose one of the next live shows that we were going to be developing. So last year, we had audiences vote afterwards on what content they would like to see us develop. So that is how our Space Rocks Asteroids show was born.
Neat, high energy.
Surprisingly.
Such a good use. I know YouTube creators have found insane value just going through the comments and making the exact story or content that their commenters are asking. So can't wait to see that show. Karrie, jump into you.
Yeah. So a long time ago, Mark Webb at Ellipse mentioned that he did a really simple thing with poker chips and buckets. So he had 5 buckets, and it would be number 1 was the show was terrible. I couldn't imagine anything worse. And 5 was that was the best show. I wouldn't make any changes. And so he would just give a poker chip to each attendee on their way out, and they would just pop their poker chip in the bucket, and it would be a quick way to see, who really enjoyed it, who didn't. Which is great, but that feedback only goes so deep. It doesn't let you figure out, for example, why somebody rated it a 5, why somebody rated it a 1. And in order to get that kind of, I would say, deeper, more meaningful feedback, you really do have to talk to people. So if you have enough staff after a program, pull them aside, talk to them. What did you like? Was everything explained clearly? What comments do you have about improving it? Getting that kind of open-ended feedback can be more helpful, I think, to improving programs. But another really fast way to get feedback is to just think about the number of questions you get at the end of a show. If you get lots of questions and comments, people enjoyed it. If you end and it's crickets, then they probably weren't that excited about it.
That takes a bit of sometimes setting your ego aside, but it is a very important point. Just what is the direct energy in the room? Really, really good point. All right, let's get into a technical question from Emily Peavy. How well does the licensing of live programs work across the different systems that exist in planetariums? Is it tough to jump from system to system? Let's start actually with the U.S. Space and Rocket Center team. Karrie, you'll be next, and we'll end with Michael. Go ahead.
Okay, so short answer is it is not trivial. I think the story can translate to anything, right? But trying to get from like the visualization side, system to system, is definitely a challenge. So when we build assets within Digistar, they are trying to take advantage of the things that Digistar is good at and optimizing for the performance that we know Digistar has. And trying to make it, again, that sort of hardware agnostic within the Digistar ecosystem, because some people have better computers than others, or more projectors or whatever. So when since that's our system, we're optimizing the show for that. But when we're licensing and distributing to other systems, The current format that we have is to render to video, which hurts me, but basically B-roll segments of the talking points and try to give you B-roll style footage of the topic, and like multiple angles and shots and whatever, so that you can then bring that into your system. And if it's a system that can just do like simple playback, that's like, hey, let's just sequence these videos, and you click next and you go to cool. Or if it's something that's a little bit more involved and you can have like some crossfades and do whatever thing, cool. Or, I mean, if you're up to the challenge and you want to work with us to develop it in your system, we can talk. We can share some data sets with you and that sort of thing. It's definitely not going to be a small effort, but some things all systems have. So for example, like for our James Webb show, there's a component where we fly around the spacecraft and a 3D model of it. And most systems have a 3D model of James Webb already built in some capacity. It doesn't have to look identical. That's not the point. The point is to have something immersive and awesome, and telling, augmenting the story at hand. So not trivial, but possible. And I think we've done it very successfully.
And the goal, just adding on to that, is still, of course, to have that sort of modular format, like David was saying, B-roll. So we're not rendering this all into long videos that you have to kind of time out to. You still are triggering the visuals as you'd like to present them.
And with the flexibility of not having to go in linear fashion as well. It's not like, oh, you have to do this one to then do this one to then do this one. You have that ability to be a little bit selective. Yeah, I'm missing something, but yes.
So no, it sounds good. It sounds like you've made some ways of making it work, but there's still progress to be made. And
yes. So I'll also add that the modular sort of B-roll style individual video segments also means that we can update it quickly, because with our James Webb show, we include updates on about a quarterly basis for the first year and have additional things that you can subscribe into. And so that lets us not just have to replace like, an entire movie for you and re-render everything, but rather, give you the snippets that you can then stick in, and it should be a quick like drop in and go. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Nice. Karrie, jumping to you.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I do want to second, David's absolutely right. It is not trivial. And one of the main differences between systems is their software scripting language. So how do you write a series of commands that you can then play back? That's different for every vendor. I shouldn't say for every vendor, for every software platform. And it's not necessarily a simple, well, Digistar uses this set of commands and Digitalis uses this. The entire approach can be very different. So yeah, it is definitely not an easy thing, not something that's going to be solved quickly.
Gonna take some effort, and I mean, it is a number of different ways that you can arrive at the same solution. There's actually a follow-up question to this that Cora Braun entered, and she's asking, to what extent has digitization, or essentially moving to these maybe files that you can download and you don't have to send hard drives, or heaven forbid have slides. I mean, it's, hey, we came from a great place, but we don't have to go back there. How is that benefiting these efforts of bringing this programming to new platforms? Karrie, do you want to continue your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I mean, technology is, of course, depending on how you use it. So the technology itself may or may not solve a problem. It's really, I think it was David who mentioned earlier, it's the creativity that you bring to it. So digitization and being able to share assets quickly does offer a lot of opportunity, I would say. We have a community site for all of our customers, and so we can push out an augmented lesson, for example, with all the media and all the the scripts that go along with it. We can push that out to our customers pretty easy, and then they can unzip it and be using it in their system in in 15 minutes, depending on the how big the files are. So I would say that in many ways, it's made things much easier. But that said, there's also the danger of being completely overwhelmed by how much is out there. So it can be easy to lose sight of what you want to do, what your goals are.
Good point. Easily distracted because all of the things look so good. Michael, you actually might have the easiest direct answer to this. How does the licensing for Kinetarium work across the different software systems? Are you pretty platform agnostic? You could jump between just about all of them?
It is not a question of the platform or the software, it's a question of the hardware and the system installation.
So if you got a computer, it's powerful enough, essentially, people will be able to run it.
We try to have a look at the performance we need. So we are very resource saving. We try to make it very performant on small laptops, for example, but we need a dedicated graphic card. And of course, if you think about digitization with internet connections, with very fast server connections, with game engines, this is digitization, and we need it. So this is a combination of creating a website which is very fast and collects the input to a server which is very fast and send the inputs very fast, and the software which renders in real time the inputs, and the output has to create the dome image. This is digital. So
yeah, I want to add that when we accepted the Kinetarium Cosmic Carousel this last year, it was pretty simple. We asked, okay, send your Dome Master files, and they sent this 200 megabyte installation file, and they said, great, yeah, just run this and then download it off our servers. And the team at the FISC, who's also very talented in this type of a space. There's a reason why Karrie keeps going back to FISC. They are an incredible team, but they just were able to get it to work. And there was even a tiny bit of latency, and Michael was like, all right, give us a week or two, and they moved servers to the United States, and suddenly the latency was gone. So these digitalization type tendencies seems like it's just much easier to get content to market very quickly in a lot of ways. And David, Brittany, are you guys delivering most all of your shows digitally through just downloads people can do directly, like they can have the content that day?
Yes. So yes, short answer. So basically, when it's a Digistar install, then we package the entire control panel. So for those who are not Digistar users, it's basically like Karrie's been talking about on an iPad, an interface that can be on your computer or an iPad or whatever device that's connected to your system, and everything gets basically zipped up, and it knows when you double click it, it installs itself in all the right places. It gets pushed to all your server computers and just works most of the time. The only thing that we have to do any additional mess with is usually pushing any sliced and encoded video. If you have a multi-channel system, that can get a little bit wonky, but it's a pretty small lift in that regard. And then if it's a non-Digistar system, then we're just providing a downloader of assets, and from a OneDrive link or something, because the Rocket Center is confused about how best to transfer files. But that's another gripe. Anyway, but the other thing I wanted to add in terms of how digitization has made things quick, definitely cross-platform, as I mentioned, can be hard, but quick is definitely still true with the ability of the internet. I mean, again, to bring up the Rubin First Look Domecast, we made all of the assets on Saturday. We uploaded them at 4:45 in the morning, which was bad for us. We sent out the link. People installed them all day. on Sunday up until the Domecast started Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. Someone was literally installing while they were already in the Domecast. Don't recommend doing that. And then it's on their system. So we go from no assets to assets in about 24 hours to assets installed on everyone's system who's participating 24 hours later from that. So 48 hours to all of that happening. And if you were on YouTube for the 2K stream, you didn't have to do any of that. You just fed in a stream. So in that regard, I think the technology has come a really long way for us to be able to implement things very quickly and on a wide scale. I think we had over 60 domes join us for the Domecast across 4 or 5 continents. So that's super cool, right? Awesome to get everyone together and for live and interactive programming. Slightly, they're almost not interactive, but mostly live. A little bit of interactivity.
We'll just talk quietly in that part. And we've got a question actually specifically for you two, for Intuitive. I know those assets originally were Digistar specific. Have you managed to make a package other systems are able to benefit from, even if they're slightly different or not able to update regularly? And it sounds like you've kind of answered this, so maybe just give us a quick and dirty again one more time, how you get your assets to work on other people's systems.
Yeah, I think we mostly covered this, but yeah. So essentially, render things out as B-roll style videos and give you a lot of them. And then when we make updates, we can say, hey, those 15 that you had out of the 60, maybe don't use those anymore, and instead use these 18 in roughly this fashion. And here's an updated script to go along with it. Script we take very loosely. That's just to give you an idea of how to do it, but we don't want you reading off of it. We want you to be in that off-the-cuff conversational fashion where you're knowledgeable, but you're still able to interact with your audience. Obviously, that's what this is about. So yeah, I think it is facilitated as easy as can be, given that it is a different system. And if anyone has ideas of how to make it easier, we are all ears and happy to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to jump into LED domes real quick, and we're going to get your thoughts, because it seems like this question from Cora is right on the bleeding edge. I would expect nothing different from Cora. And she's asking that because LED domes have a higher brightness than the reflections from a planetarium projector, that could make a difference in how it reacts to the audience. I know the very first time that I saw an LED TV, just theater screen that they have here in Los Angeles, they did one of those rising sun shots over Africa that are so famous and look so beautiful, but they had the brightness turned up to 600 nits. And so it was actually quite annoying. And a number of the audience members put their hands up to go, oh my gosh, why are you doing this? Why are we staring at the sun in the morning? And it suddenly has a different meaning than it does on projection. Maybe each of you could share your thoughts on just how this is going to change the experience of having an interactive, where maybe at some point you can bring the sun up and show how hot it is and how bright it is. Or I don't know, that may be a little audience hostile, but just your quick thoughts on how LED might change the game. We'll start with Michael, jump up to David and Brittany, and then end with Karrie. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah. So for the Kinetarium, I think it has two positive developments, because on one side, you play together with a group of people, perhaps with a big group of people, and we emphasize to use your voice to communicate, to navigate, or to give hints in the audience, not only the moderator. And then it would be very useful that the audience is seeing more from each other. This is one point, and the other point I forgot at the moment.
No worries. We'll come back. We'll come right back to you. We've got the first half. We'll come back for the second half. Jumping up to David, Brittany, LED domes, how they're going to change things.
I want one so bad. Wow. Well, for us, the data to dome to phone part is very integral. And as you've heard me say, and so I think it allows for the immersiveness to just be plus up at so much. But at the same time, it allows you to use devices to manipulate what's on the screen. So to Michael's point of his games like that and interactives, that's awesome. It means that you're not washing out the screen at all. You can do whatever thing without any fear of any impact to other guests. It means that for polling on your phone or for pulling up, the digital interactives or whatever, as long as you have internet and you're not too much in a Faraday cage, which is maybe real, then you have the ability to bring in whatever external digital device or props with lights. It provides just a platform that is so fundamentally different than the much more traditionally dim planetarium environment. That sounds very negative, and it's not supposed to be. It's just different technology, right? So I think there's lots of ways that the industry will change to be able to incorporate more types of interaction that you couldn't do in a dark environment.
Yeah, just running off of that, there's a lot of pressure, I think, that's taken off of both the audience and the presenter in terms of like the audience doesn't have to be on their best behavior. And I have to make sure I have to keep my phone away. I can't take any pictures. I have to make sure my smartwatch is off. Like we would then try and incorporate that in programming where people could have their phones out, like take a bunch of pictures, post on social media, and incorporate those more mobile interactives into the dome. So dome to phone could really get a lot broader.
I will say too, something that I am trying to do in my spare time that I don't have is incorporate some sort of control where we, and this would probably not be in our big dome, but in our portable, where we have one of these worldwide telescope interactives. Let's say it's like the moon, and we get everyone to get into this. It's running in a connected fashion to our Digistar system in the portable. And as we average out people's commands of like where they want to go, that can dictate what gets shown on the dome. It doesn't work yet at all, but it could. That could be fun. And on an LED dome, so bright.
Oh yeah. No, that it kind of boggles the mind, the potential there. Karrie, jump into you.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a huge amount to add, except that I want to say in some ways the brightness of the LED dome might discourage people from interacting. I think let's face it, there are some folks who are not as comfortable speaking up in front of a group, and sometimes being in the dark makes them more willing to speak up. That said, there's ways around that. It doesn't the interaction doesn't always have to be spoken. It could be, I learned the term thermometer, so it could be, like it's hot, it's neutral, it's cold. That's your thermometer. So it could be that type of interaction as well. And people who are more theatrical than I think will come up with different ways of making the lighting behind them work. So here we actually run a little planetarium here at our headquarters, and we have a 43-inch, so like a 1.1 meter high spring line. So our presenters, if we stand up, we cast shadows on the dome behind us. Obviously, that would not be an issue with an LED dome, but being able to cast the shadows, we use that sometimes. Sometimes the presenter will have the shadow of their finger point to, here's the Pleiades. So it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. That said, I do want to point out, I don't foresee LED domes taking over anytime soon, simply because they're so expensive. And so we have some time to address all of these various ideas and ideas for interaction.
Very good point. Very, very good point. And yeah, again, coming from Cora, she's always thinking about the cutting edge. So thank you so much for that question. We've got one more question, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But oh, wait. Sorry, Michael, I said I would come back to you. Did you remember your second point?
It depends a little bit on the image you can create. I think I think you would lose a little bit the immersion in the dome when you see the audience. But in our case, creating video games, I think we have more possibilities to use the light in the dome and the contrasts and the dynamics of the playground, I say.
The playground. Excellent way of describing it. Okay, so moving to our last question. How to describe these type experiences to audiences? Is there specific language? You can't call them a film. Are they experiences? Is it a program? Emily is asking, just what are your thoughts on setting audiences' expectations? Let's go ahead and we're going to start with the US space team, move to Karrie, and finish off with Michael. How do you market these experiences so people know what they're in for?
I think that is an excellent point, because I know personally when people show up to the planetarium and they're like, I can't wait for the movie, I just cringe a little bit on the inside because it is different and people don't really know what to expect. So I think we typically refer to them as shows or programs, again, trying to avoid the kind of like movie or more passive language. But ultimately, we just have to make sure that everyone is able to explain what a planetarium show entails to our audiences, especially not just the people in our department, but even the people who are selling tickets at the front desk of the Rocket Center. Like we want everyone at our institution to know what the planetarium does and how it functions so that they can accurately describe the shows to other people.
To add on to that, so like I'm talking to someone, right? I'm gonna say, oh, this is a guided exploration of immersive environments where we're going to take you anywhere in the universe to explore the topic at hand and discover, the far reaches of the universe. All sorts of neat astrophysical phenomenon. What you can't do is you can't say that to every single guest who comes through at the ticket desk uniquely every time. And so this has been a huge challenge for us of how do we get our ticketing staff, frontline ticketing staff, to convey what this is. And I don't know that we do an awesome job, to be honest. Some do well and some don't. I think it's a kind of an ever-evolving challenge of how do we do that. Same thing with any time that we're selling special events or selling like corporate experiences or whatever it is. Again, to Brittany's point, it's always like, oh yeah, and you'll get a movie in the planetarium. How long have we been here? It's never been that. It's never been that. Anyway.
Good point. It's coming from one back to it again, back to the original points. Karrie.
I remember Emily bringing this up at LIPS a few years ago, and it was a question that really stuck with me ever since, and I'm glad she's bringing it up again. I like the term programs because show does imply, in my mind anyway, and in many people's minds, it implies something that's pre-recorded. And lessons can feel a bit too serious. So even though we are an educational dome and we are presenting lessons, the term programs feels more approachable to me. So that's what we tend to do. We also only seat 28 people, and so it's in concentric. So our environment is very different from your average planetarium.
Good point. Someday we'll have a really great program on unit view and concentric seating.
And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But Michael, yes, programs, experiences, games. Do you just jump right into the G word?
Yes. At the beginning, we tried to avoid the game aspect because we were afraid about the educational serious branch. So at the moment, we have big success with games. So I don't I'm not afraid anymore. Speaking about gaming and multiplayer games, when we are talking about the show In Orbit, which has a narrative sequencing between games and show or typical cinematic elements. This is a little bit harder, but we can use the terminology of the video games and arcade area. So this is, I think, more easy to get an impression what is going on. But the expectations are very different. Some people are amazed about the complexity and the group dynamics. And some people who perhaps play at home AAA games are frustrated about the graphics and the game mechanics and the level of interactivity they can bring into the game. Our challenge is to provide a good experience to a lot of people, and not so much power to one player.
Great point. Distribute the agency to the entire audience. Well, this has been a fantastic program. If you, the attendees, have enjoyed this program, feel free to hit that react button. Let's get some hearts and some clappy hands. Thank you so much to all these panelists. We're going to go through really quickly. Each panelist is going to tell you where you can find out more about them and their products. Michael, we're starting with you, then Brittany, David, and ending with Karrie. Go ahead, Michael. Where can we find out more?
So you spoke a little bit too fast, but when I did understand you right, you can visit, of course, our website, www.kinetarium.space. You pasted the link also in the chat, and feel free to contact on Instagram. And you can find my telephone number on the website to call.
Watch out, you get a bunch of texts now. Anyways, Brittany, David, how can we find out more?
We just dropped in the chat, but yeah, rocketcenter.com/intuitiveplanetarium. We have a variety of things available for free and/or purchase. So yeah, we do have a brand new Planetarium short that is out about astrobiology that is not interactive or live, but it's brand new. So that's kind of fun.
Free.
And it's free. So that's cool. But yeah, you can chat with us about licensing any shows or Domecast. Keep you in the loop on any of those things. So again, thank you so much for your time today, and we've enjoyed being a part of it.
And we also have some of our interactives on the website as well, kind of like what David showed you earlier. But yes, feel free to contact us as well. And thank you guys for being here. We're very excited.
Awesome. Karrie, how can we find out more?
Yeah, I popped some in the chat early on. I'll put them back there. But for the live interactive planetarium symposium, it's lipsymposium.org is the website. I will include my email, and then I saw Ed posted our company website to digitaliseducation.com, but I will pop those three things in the chat after I stop talking. So my thanks as well to everyone.
Awesome. And Karrie, if people come to LIPS this year, will they get their own set of LIPS? Is that a thing?
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, those were really fun. They actually made noise. So
Oh, that's even better.
kind of squeaky as you breathed in and out. They were cool.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well, yes, huge round of applause to all of our panelists and our experts. I do want to invite you to stick around for a great firsthand experience of the Kinetarium software here in this chat. I'll also turn on everybody's ability to talk. So if you want to jump in with your voice, say hi, you're welcome to here at the very end of this program. And looking forward, we've got another great Fulldome Forum coming up in August. This is going to be exploring innovative revenue streams for Planetarium. So if you want some ideas on ways that you might be able to offer new programming that can bring in some different revenue streams, this is going to be a program that you won't want to miss. It's going to be hosted by our board chair, Ed Lance, who is a part of the beginning of this call, and our guest speakers will be announced soon. But as of right now, I just want to say thank you one last time to everyone that came. And yes, thank you. Please join us again soon. Take care and be safe.
You as well.
Thank you
Good
very
night.
much.